Good morning, my family. Hold on. I have the opener here. Let's get make sure we got everything ready. Broke it, see? There we go. That was quick. Not good.
Hello and welcome to MoB episode MoB TV.
They can't hear you. Say it again.
Hello and
Sure. You don't want to stick around for the bongos?
you're gonna play bongo.
Yeah, the drum roll. Let's see what we played. It's kind of beta, so it's still testing all this stuff. You can see how it's a little laggy. Laggy. Okay, the bongos will appear somewhere in the middle of the conversation somewhere. Good morning, my family. Hello, Kaffeeklatsch. Welcome. It says episode 151. I'm pretty sure there it is. See? Episode 152 with drum roll bongos. Fantastic. I hope you're all doing well today. Let's see. Let me get the comments up. It's a little laggy, so I don't know if I'm gonna have to do the give it the screen thing, because usually that's what slows everything up. It's a lot laggy, actually. Okay, let's see. There it is. Comments. Fantastic. Let me say hello to everybody. All right. Morning, Paige. Hello, Enid. Good morning. Chris Mendoza. Good morning. Excuse me. Good morning, Heather. Let's see. Who else is here? Audrey's here. Good morning. Dawn. Good morning. Anne. Hello. Good morning. Jim. Good morning. Let's see. And Dolly's here. Say hello, Dolly. You can hear Dolly's voice is here. I'm gonna get a little Dolly plushie to put right here. Welcome to episode 150. I want to say 152. I'll double check. But episode 152. I hope you've all had a great week and a great time since our last Kaffeeklatsch, which was the 15th. I'm looking at the calendar. And so far, the text is working well. This seems to be a little bit of a lag, but we're going to keep the text up for now and see how it goes. If it gets too slow, then we're going to remove the text and let it go the normal way. How are you all doing today? Let's see. I guess I can get into the shout outs right away because everybody's here. The gang's all here. All right, so a huge shout out to everyone on YouTube. I'm going to say hello to everyone on YouTube. Hola. Welcome. Thank you for being here this morning. If you are on YouTube, please hit the like and the subscribe button. Don't forget that helps the algorithm, helps us grow. Let's see. There haven't been, no, really? Oh my God, that's crazy, Chris. We've been doing this for 6 years. Wow, that's just hard to believe. I can't believe it. It's amazing. So if you're on YouTube, please hit the like and the subscribe button because it helps us grow. The CWWs have been paused because I'm changing the format, and they should be back probably September 1st or September 2nd, around then. They're going to be CW3s, which is this Creative Weekly Warrior Wisdom. So I'm going to try the weekly format. I'll make the show a little longer. It'll probably be the same length overall, but it'll just be like once a week, just to kind of allow for all the other things that I got to do, because there's a lot of writing that needs to happen. So, and that removes one thing from my head. I can do it at the beginning of the week or at the end or any other point, and then, get it done and then get to the other stuff. All right. We're on Instagram. You'll be seeing stuff on Instagram soon. That's all I have to say. I don't want to ruin the surprise, but you'll be seeing stuff on Instagram soon. ZAZZLE, here's our ZAZZLE link. Let's see how StreamYard is behaving. Yikes. What? It does that sometimes. Refresh it. It's been doing that lately. Yeah, If it is, has anyone lost the screen? Because Dolly lost her screen. Yeah, just refresh it. It's crazy. It's some of the stuff that FB is doing. That's a ZAZZLE store link. Get back on. Okay. Let me know when you're back on. All right, this is our ZAZZLE M&S swag store. So this is the link. That's our RF code. Please use it. Use that link with the RF code because it helps us keep track. I'm on it right here. Anyone on Facebook, can you let us know if you can get on? Because we're having, it seems like we're having difficulties over here. Go to feed, hit go to feed. Then hit them up. Hit them. No, look at the receiver. Oh, because we just had 14 and they went to 5. So yeah, is everyone on currently on YouTube? Anyone from Facebook on? Because it seems like we lost everyone from Facebook. All right. Okay. Chris, can you check? Are you on Facebook, Chris? Can you check? Because it seems like we lost the Facebook feed. Yeah. No, because Anne is on. Is it on your end? I only see 5 people though. It's weird. It might be affecting everyone. Check on. Let's go on Facebook real quick. I'm checking the technical stuff because it seems to be having some issues. It seems to be on here. Because what would a Kaffeeklatsch be without technical difficulties? It seems to be. Try it again. I'm trying to reload. We're going to continue. Okay, we're going to go. This is what we do. So this is how it works, guys. Okay, because over here it says I only see 4 people, but I know there's more than 4 people in here, so it's the strangest usual stuff. All right, let me just hide this comment. That's our ZAZZLE store, so get our stuff from ZAZZLE, please, because we have a bunch of swag there. Go get it, please. Then let's see. Let's move on to let's see if I can take this off. I think our next show is the 6-month anniversary. That's crazy. All right, we also have patrons, a bunch of new patrons. Okay, so we're gonna get to the story in Patreon in a moment. Let me just shout out the new patrons. And I want to shout out all the patrons because you guys are amazing. So, and then we'll do. Well, we don't have any new authors to promote, but we always promote our indie authors. So let's show this Patreon link. Okay, so on Patreon, new members: Dave Johnston, Timothy Knox, Chris Gibson, Mary. I want to say Anjarame. I apologize if I'm mangling your name, Mary, and Michelle Beach, our new patrons for our Patreon. So thank you all for joining and supporting us and going above and beyond. And you guys are amazing. So thank you so much. Oh, wow. So we're going to discuss Patreon in a moment, but let's discuss, and this is the link for Patreon. So please take this link, share it with people, and let other people know that amazing stuff is happening on our Patreon. And, share the word. Make sure we're up to date with this. This is the website here. Okay, and I'll check the new comments in a moment. And then we're going to get into all the other cool stuff that's been happening. Yeah. It could be just us, too. Just us here. Although I'm having no issue over here. Okay, there's our website. Please go visit www.orlandoasanchez.com. and just peruse, browse, look around. Then stress test it. Go see if there's any areas that don't seem to work. But we got a lot of stuff now. But listen, do we want to jump into? Okay, before we jump into Deadeye, which ones do you guys want to discuss first, Deadeye or the Morgan's Man? Because they're both really, really. Let's do Deadeye first, and then we can jump into the Morgan's Man because the Morgan's Man ties into our Patreon, right? Thank you, CW. You're right. All right. Any questions about Deadeye? I think we could. Let me take this off. I think we can safely answer questions about Deadeye by now because anyone who's going to read it has read it, and if you haven't read Deadeye, I apologize because there might be spoilers, but I don't think so. But we're gonna discuss both. We're gonna discuss Deadeye and the Morgan's Man, but we'll do Deadeye first because it's the one that just it's the one that we just did, the book that just came out. So Chris says a Deadeye never misses, does he? Did he? That's a good question. Thank you, Audrey. I'm glad you enjoyed it. How old is Simon? He's currently in his 40s. He's kind of frozen at his 40s. So because of the curse. So when he hooked up with Monty, I want to say he's mid 40s. So and he's gonna stay there. How old was he? I'm guessing you want to say how old he was when he was a Deadeye. It was about in his 20s. He was young as a Deadeye. So that's why there's a few decades in between that Gabriel, he sees Gabriel as an adult now. And I'm sure to Gabriel, he probably looks a little older, but not much. Yeah, it's hard to join this. It's why it's easier to join here, Anthony, on YouTube. Sometimes it's really hard to join it over there. So we'll discuss Deadeye because Deadeye has a lot of stuff. Oh, what was the question that you had, Heather? Yes, the child did survive. Yes, he did. He actually ended up being very important to the story. So he did survive. And like Chris says, a Deadeye never misses. So we have to think that the shot that he took, even though it didn't achieve its objective, which was eliminating Gabriel, he didn't miss. The whole purpose of why he hit the way he hit. And if you think about where he hit, there are a lot of vessels in the area, especially in the head. So when he hit, it's gonna look like he hit and caused a lot of blood. There's a lot of damage. It looks horrible, but it's just a facade. It's just to get him out, you know. Yeah, Shadow Company. He made it so Shadow Company would think that Gabriel was dead, and it didn't stop them. It just bought Gabriel some time to get out. Yeah, the whole point was to make it look like he died. So he took the shot. Yeah. Let's see. Has Simon so many questions? On. Yeah, it's on another degree of excitement, and I agree because even the way the story starts, I was like, "Whoa!" It surprised even me. I was like, "Whoa, what's going on?" Because it just jumped into that, and then Nemesis, which I've already started at the beginning. I'm not going to spoil it for you at all. It's dark and whoa, yeah, it's like a continuation of that. Let's see. Aging stops when you're around magic. Yes, it does. It really does. Anthony asks, has Simon always been Simon? Can Simon be the new version of something ancient? No. I haven't gone into the reincarnation aspect of, beliefs. So Simon has always been Simon. He's not the reincarnation of anything yet. So not that I know of. Maybe he might end up though. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, in regards to FB is very strange right now. It's like you might have to tell people to migrate to YouTube to just get here and find everything because FB's acting really funky. How long was he a Deadeye? He was a Deadeye for quite a while. I mean, not long enough to make it. I don't want to. That I have to kind of hold back just a little bit on CW because it factors in later on. But he was a Deadeye long enough to become the best Deadeye in Shadow Company while he was there. I hope that tells you a little bit. Yeah. Okay, so it's Paige is here, right? Paige, how did you like your death? How did you guys like Paige's death? Again, I'm sorry that there are going to be spoilers this show. If you haven't read the story, I apologize. But we want to address kind of Deadeye because it was already a cliffhanger. So there are going to be spoilers in the show. Not heavy spoilers, but we all knew Paige had to die. The Paige character was a red shirt. If you don't know what a red shirt is, wow, let's see. A red shirt, does anyone here not know what a red shirt is? Because explaining that might take a little bit if you're not into Star Trek. So I'm sorry, Enid. I'm sorry you were traumatized. Yeah. Yeah, Jim, it was time for him to kind of grow up, right? You know? And so yeah, he's definitely getting more respect. I'm glad you liked the Paige. I thought, me personally, first of all, I had a hard time killing you. I just want to say that off the bat. I know I've told you this. I had a hard time killing you, Paige. I just want to say that off the top. That being said, you were a red shirt and you had to die. I'm sorry, but that's the way it goes. But I think that little moment where you look back as you're about to deflect blades, it was like chef's kiss. It was classic. It was excellent. It was truly a glorious death. Let's see. Heather says an interesting point came up. Monty didn't want his mom's sword, but when Paige was killed, he wanted to recover. Yes, that factors into Nemesis, the next story. He didn't want it when Paige had it, but the moment Dira took it, that changed it. It changed everything. So yeah. And Jim is saying, yeah, Jim is like, one thing I like with Deadeye is Simon's increasing ability and the maturity. He's getting more respect for sure. I know, Enid. I'm sorry you were traumatized. I wanted her to live, but she couldn't. You know, Jim, the body count was a little higher than usual, for sure. Yes, the body count was definitely because it needed to reflect what was changing in the world, and also needed to reflect that we were stepping kind of into Simon's dimension, Simon's world of the operatives. And so these operators, it's not like the magical world so much. I mean, magical world has death as well, but the operatives are a little different. So it's like, yeah, we're gonna have to see a little bit more of the violent aspect of what it meant to be in Shadow Company. So we needed to have a little bit of that. Do we have a total body count? I don't know. I'd have to go back and count for sure. Anthony says Paige's death was John Woo, where the flying doves and a slow version of. Yeah, I was gonna throw that in, but I thought it would be a little over the top. Anthony, definitely too much. Fodder, yes, and in a way, yes, but it had to go. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Paige. And the mock-up you did in AI was really, really amazing. I'll kind of see if we can put that somewhere where people can see it. Yeah, it's and then you know, Monty picks up Paige and they gotta head back to Bremo's place, and it's like, yikes, yeah. Don, that's a very, very good question. So Don is asking, it's been mentioned that Simon's not human. I wouldn't say he's not human, it's that he's not entirely human, right? And so you want to kind of know what exactly is he, or what is he turning into, right? And we'll get into that as we discuss the Morgan's Man, because the Morgan's Man, I feel, is going to have a real impact on the Monty and Strong stories, right? And also Monty. Monty is mostly human. He's a mage, so he already has properties about him that are not exactly human, like long life and the ability to manipulate energy, magic, and things like that. Yeah, no, you can put it up in the mob page for sure. I know I put it up, but you can put it up for sure. Please do, because that I was like, that's Paige. That's exactly how I imagined her. So it's amazing. Oh yeah, Ian. What Chris is talking about is that they have to take Paige's body back to Bremo, and so that's going to be an issue. So not with Bremo per se, but the wrath of Bremo, and yeah, that's going to be whoa. And then, so one of the interesting things about this story was at the end there were, I guess, two antagonists or two enemies to deal with, Cutter and Dira, and one of them had to die in this book, and that would be Cutter. And then the next one goes to the next book, and whether or not she dies, I'm not going to tell you, am I? So we'll see in the next story. But Cutter's Cut. You don't. The good thing about Cutter is that you didn't just see him at the end. It's like I'm trying to avoid just having the main, I guess, antagonist come appear at the end like a surprise. You had the influence of Cutter all kind of throughout the story. Like he was constantly, his presence was there throughout the story. And then they had that great conversation where Cutter brings up all the stuff from the past with Simon. And that was a lot of fun. I don't want to get into too much detail because I'm not going to completely spoil the story. But that was a lot of fun. That the whole conversation and the tension, the dynamic tension between Cutter and Simon was really good. Brimo's wrath is no joke. She turned her sister to him. Yeah, wasn't so much Brimo's wrath, but Hecate's wrath. And so, yeah, that is, we don't want to face Brimo. Let's put it that way. We don't want to face Brimo. Think about all the name dropping she did when she was speaking to Simon and Monty and who she's dealt with and who she's interacted with. And she's come out kind of unscathed without those interactions. Yeah. Thank you, Paige. That's awesome. That's fantastic. Two enemies for the price of one. But when you think about it, what was really happening was that Dira, although Cutter thought he was actually using Dira, it was the other way around, which gets revealed more in Nemesis. You'll see more in Nemesis. Because let's see, I don't want to say too much because Nemesis is still very much in the beginning stages, but the concept of honor in regards to Dira, it starts to get warped because of what's been happening to her. And so we're going to delve into that a little bit. And the fact that she's kind of willing to do anything to get the mark, how does that factor in with her stance on honor? So it's, yeah. And plus, we got to get Phantasm back, which is a sword. We got to get that back. Simon has a vested interest in removing Dira's Kamikira blade because it could kill him. So that's another thing. So those are going to be some serious epic moments in Nemesis. And don't forget, Dira still has the Compeller's touch. So basically, she has an army at her fingertips because all she needs to do is compel other people to do things and go against Simon. It's going to be, wow. Yeah, it's going to be crazy. So, yes. And you got to see how Monty said this is not over. It's not over. So it's like, yeah, it's going to be. So do you guys have any other questions about Deadeye? I don't want to rush through Deadeye because Deadeye is just wow. Yeah, honor is a tricky thing because I've been studying a lot of it because I've been going into the samurai concept of honor and how it could get twisted and used against people as well as a tool to kind of compel loyalty and things like that. And during the samurai times, honor was a huge thing. The same thing as saving face and all of this. All of these ways of being that the samurai had. And it wasn't just the samurai because it's cross-cultural. But because of honor, there were a lot of needless deaths that were caused based on, I guess, making someone lose their honor. And then they would commit seppuku and they would kill themselves. Or they would see that as the only way to restore their honor was to kill themselves. And so it was really, really bad. Welcome back. Welcome, Mary Beth. Welcome. You're not late. You're here. That's the key. So it is a very tricky thing. And when honor becomes an interpretation of something, then it gets twisted. So even in times of samurai times, honor went from something that might have had good intentions and it got really, really transformed into something else. And so, yeah, we'll see how that goes. No, we have notes. Don't worry, man. You can catch up and start reading. It's awesome. And you're here, so that's what matters. And so that's the situation with that. And so let me give you some updates because it's almost 12. I don't know, time is already flying. So don't forget, if you haven't already, please leave your review for Deadeye because it helps the book get more visibility and more people get to see it and more people get to read it, which is awesome. And We also have signed books available. So if you want a signed hard copy, like a signed, not a hard copy, but signed print version, signed paperback, we have them. So please, it's on the website. I'm being told it's on the website. Dolly, say it again. Right. OrlandoASanchez.com. On the website, you can find us. You can find signed copies of Deadeye. So go there and get one, please. Okay, Anthony's asking. This just occurred to me. Could Hades, the Morrigan, and Kali be using M&S to add to the armies of the dead? That's a really good question that I really can't answer, but it's a good question. Yeah, Jennifer. You know what? Man, that was so. Jennifer's saying losing Andre was a punch in the gut. Not only was it a punch in the gut, it's the way we lost him too. And there was a moment. So here's the thing: when you're writing a story, you really don't, and your name isn't George R.R. Martin, you really don't want to kill your characters. And even Andre, which was a very, very minor character, I'm attached to all the characters that I've created, right, in the story. Welcome, Joe. I'm attached to them. So I didn't want Andre to die, but it kind of had to happen because of the way the story went and how it began and the kind of delivery system of the explosive, and it made the most sense that it would be Andre. And so he had to go, and that was a really sad one. And then Johatsu he was dying already, so I didn't want to belabor it, but it was also like I choose the way he said I choose, the way I go out kind of thing. And so Johatsu's was more expected, but Andre's wasn't, and it just increased the stakes, and it showed how dangerous the situation had become. I agree, Heather. Simon needs to save a piece for Olga, for sure. Olga's gonna have something to say about this, right? As well as, I forgot Eric and the Harlequin. So there's that too. Yeah, there was a body count in this one. Like for many of the books that didn't have one, this one kind of made up for the ones that didn't. This book made up for the ones that didn't have one. Jim says there are many honor cultures. What was considered honorable sometimes different. Right. And it differs from culture to culture, and it differs from era to era. So not just in samurai culture, many cultures have some concept of what is honorable and how that is maintained, and how does that's created, how that's upheld. And so we'll get into that with Nemesis and Dira, and how she's been it's getting warped, the concept, right? Because when you want to obtain something above and beyond whatever concept of honor you have, something has to give, right? So that's what's going to happen. Exactly. Chris says, Jim, Indians would count coup, right? Yes, without killing, they didn't understand why soldiers would kill them. Yes, because it's a matter of honor. And so they didn't understand it was a different culture thing, right? Which is where the scalping came in and things like that. So there's different interpretations and cultural references and cultural creations of what honor meant, especially during wartime and during battles and during conflicts. It's a complicated thing, and I'll try to keep it simple for the story, but it is definitely going to get a little complicated dealing with Dira and the worship of certain gods and goddesses, because there's a certain honor there too, and so that has to kind of be explored a bit. I'll try to do it without doing info dumps, because that's never fun. We don't want to do it in info dump. We'll do it in the story itself. All right, let's segue. We won't say anything important, Jennifer Jones. Oh, I like Mary Beth's interpretation that Dira's off the deep end. Don't forget that Dira was exposed to Chandra, which is a sword that she shouldn't have been holding, right? Because it was meant for someone else that was much stronger, who had a different kind of power. And that might have had an effect on Dira as well. And so we'll see. I like Mary Beth's interpretation or analysis that Dira's off the deep end. I think there might be something to that as well. But that doesn't mean she's not dangerous. And it doesn't mean that she's not willing to do whatever she wants to do, whatever she feels she needs to do to get the mark of Kali. Is Dira now on the dishonorable side of the Kali scale of grooviness? I didn't realize that Kali had a scale of grooviness, but I like it. There's an argument to be made for Dira doing whatever she wants to do, whatever she feels she needs to do to get the mark that Kali might be okay with. But there's also, if you look at the stance Kali took when Dira was not herself and Simon didn't kill her, she said that was right. It was the right thing to do because Simon was like, I could have killed her. This would have resolved everything. Right? If you just said take her out, and then Kali was like, well, you couldn't do that, right? And so there might be a Kali scale of grooviness, but whether Dira is on the dishonorable side is a whole different thing because there are other factors at play, right? She's more dangerous, right? If she's unhinged, like Mary Beth might be alluding to, and now she's stronger, and don't forget that she's gaining abilities, it seems like she's getting even more dangerous. And that means that Simon and Monty and Peaches are now having to deal with a crazy Dira. Not just the dangerous Dira, but an insanely dangerous Dira. Yeah. Yeah, she's been beyond us for a while, but now she's like Cliff, the void, she's way out in the void at this point. Yeah. She's definitely done crazy, for sure. So, but now we'll get to see how she deals with the situation as it has evolved. Because don't forget, she's got Manticore, she's got the Compeller's Touch, she's got this blade, she's got Phantasm. And she basically invited Monty to come after her. So I want to see you try. Come take it if you can. So she's not thinking straight. And so that means that, yeah, it's gonna get really, really intense for them. Because Monty's not gonna hold back. Simon's definitely not gonna hold back. Because he already told her the next time we meet, only one of us is walking away. And he said this to Kali. So it's like all bets are off. I don't care. There's no more letting her live. She's done. We'll see how done she is. All right, let's segue. I don't want to leave you guys. Yeah, she does. She has crazy smart skills now too, right? And you saw that she was able to create a teleportation circle. So there's something there to be kind of looked into. It's subtle, but how did she create a teleportation circle? That was not addressed. So it's hard. It's like it's same. Okay, the way to fight a crazy person is the same way you fight an untrained person. You try not to, because an untrained person will come at you in a way that you won't expect. When the person doesn't have any rules, you don't know what to expect, and that's where Dira is right now. This concept of honor that she has is a twisted one now. So there's no way to predict how she's going to react or how she's going to act, how she's going to come at them, or where she's going to come at them from. Excuse me. So there's a lot to try to anticipate that can't be anticipated, which makes her extremely dangerous, extremely unstable. It's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard. If you ever had to fight a crazy person who doesn't really know how to fight in the traditional sense, but it's just basically berserking, you'd understand how dangerous that is. It's really, really crazy. It's hard to do, and it puts you in danger. Let's segue. Morrigan's Man. All right, so how many of you have read it? So I know who I'm speaking to and what we're speaking about, and yeah. So, and who doesn't know what the Morrigan's Man is? So I can kind of explain it to you. I mean, I'm guessing that you guys can kind of infer that it has to do with the Morrigan, obviously, because it's the Morrigan's Man. But what it might mean in its entirety, if anyone doesn't have an idea what that is. So, yes. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Mary Beth. It was so what you guys got, I guess was it the prelude? Did I name it the prelude? Maybe something like that. It was the prelude. It was basically the Morrigan setting the stage for. I don't know if I want to give it away. Okay, the Morrigan was setting the stage for the Morrigan's man. I'm not gonna give away too much because you guys have to kind of read it. I don't want to take it away from you to read it. But setting the stage to start, setting him on assignment. Let's see. CW said I read it, not for sure knowing it's a story of Simon. It's not really a story of Simon. Dex doesn't go against Simon at all, so that's not the story. But like Don saying, it was super. Let's have more. Definitely, you're gonna have more because the Morgan's man is gonna be an ongoing. So let me just give you the premise of what it's gonna be. The Morgan's man occurs as other things are happening, and it's explained in the first assignment, which is the next one that's coming. So welcome back, Jennifer. Nothing important. We're just jumping into discussions about the Morgan's man. So it takes place as other things are occurring, but there's a way that it happens that doesn't interrupt the flow of the other things that are happening. And so you're gonna have to read the next assignment, which is assignment number 1, so you're not missing anything. The only thing you missed is the prelude. If you haven't read that, you should, because it starts to explain a little bit of the properties of the Morgan's man, but in the next assignment, it starts to show even more. And then you start getting into the assignment, which is the first assignment. And I guess I could tell you the first. Should I tell them the first assignment? The first assignment is called The Cup of Fear. And that's about all I can tell you. That's the title. It's called The Cup of Fear. And it's a retrieval that the Morgan's man, that Deathless has to do. He has to get the cup back. And that's all I can tell you because I don't want to spoil it, obviously. And how he does it and how he manages to become deathless, because now he's really becoming deathless, like the character Deathless. And how that happens, what's the catalyst for that to happen, is all in assignment 1, and it starts getting explored in each subsequent assignment. So yes, so I'm not Chris giving it away. Get out of my head, Chris. But the short answer is yes. The long answer is yes. so it's something very much along the lines of that. Yeah. Yeah, Mary Beth, it's a half mask. So if you've ever seen Phantom of the Opera, it's like that. It's a half mask. It just covers half of his face. And it's very symbolic because half of his face is going to be without a mask and half of his face is going to be covered. So it starts to get into the symbolism of what a half mask might be. For real, Chris, like, get out of my head. So basically, I guess because I can share this a bit. One of the properties of the mask allow Deathless to operate outside of time. That's all I'm gonna say on that. I'll explain it more. It's gonna be explained more in the story itself, but Chris gave you the synopsis of the whole thing. So that no time passes. It's gonna take a little a little wibbly wobbly kind of finagling around to make sure that the other stories aren't negatively impacted by what Deathless is doing in between the scenes or behind the scenes, basically. Yeah. So I'll count on you guys to call me on it if something has definite time continuity issues. But most of it will be explained by time is not going to operate the way it should operate when he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. And I'm glad to hear your mom is okay, Jennifer. That's always important that you check and make sure she's okay. All right, so that's I don't want to get too much into the Morgan's because I don't want to give it away. It's on Patreon. Join Patreon. You really have to join Patreon. Come on Patreon and you get access to the Morgan's man. So please, if you want to read them, go. Yes. Oh, that's interesting, Anthony. That's a good way of seeing it. I don't know if she'd be considered lifeless, but yes, she's definitely considered one of the undead, right? So, I mean, vampires fall within that category. So I don't know if it's a title. Like Simon's is a Deathless is a title, which is bestowed upon him. But that really does work. Deathless and lifeless. That really works. And time is fluid. It does depend on the observer. We already understand this, and it's been explored and proven the whole thing. So time is definitely fluid, at least on a micro enough level, right? Okay, let me get through the updates really quick. Frozen Fire, which is the third romantasy book, is I think about 8K in, and I'm jumping into that next week. Yeah, soon, because it's already Friday. So next week I jump into that and start, plotting on that one and start getting it going, and I want to get that done. While that's being done, Brew and Chew, which is the next Brew and Chew adventure, with Peaches as it's a story, and we've got to start to see the forming of the Brew and Chew crew. So that's Peaches, Frank, Cece, Rags, and Peanut, because we got to add Peanut into it because she's going to be part of the Brew and Chew. So they're going to have a little mini adventure as well. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So that's going to be done alongside Frozen Fire. So one long story, one short story. That's going to be the format of things. Right after Frozen Fire, we jump into Nemesis, because can't keep Nemesis waiting too long. And I'll be adding to Nemesis even while I'm doing those. And so Nemesis gets started. Well, it's already been started, but Nemesis gets cranking. Alongside Nemesis, if I'm not mistaken, I have Mistaken Identity. Check the calendar, because it's all Deadeye totally screwed up the production schedule. So I have to look at the kind of the revised slotting of the stories, but I'm pretty sure that with Nemesis there's another short story. I want to say it's Mistaken Identity, which is a bangers and mash story, which is going to be fun. Take care, Jim. It was great to have you pass by. Happy Labor Day. Thank you for visiting, and have a great weekend. So Nemesis is already kind of in the process of being done. I can't tell you how long it's going to be. Deadeye was 76K. Welcome, Connie. Well, you're here. That's good. Made it. So Deadeye, okay, let me tell you a little bit of the story of Deadeye. Deadeye started as, the reason Deadeye fits so well within the production schedule is because I had it slated as a 55K book, max 55K. I figured with 55K, I can get this done, get it out, and it'll fit, and I'll have time to get to all the other stuff. It ballooned out. It went feral. It just went. It just grew claws and said, "Yeah, 55K, right." And it ended up at 76K. And it's like, oh my God. So it completely upended everything past it in the production schedule. Like all the other, because my production schedules are fairly tight. This one was like, yeah, blew it, all the other deadlines out of the water. So I kind of reshuffled a little bit. I still have to go over and finalize the final production schedule. We're down to the end of the year. We got, oh my God, it's already September. So we got like three to 4 months. So the year's going by really fast. Oh, thank you, Don. I'm glad you're okay waiting for the stories. So Nemesis definitely is gonna happen. Mistaken Identity, I'm pretty sure it's definitely gonna happen. Poor Stone just keeps getting pushed. Poor Stone. I do want to get Divine Hell, which is the next Night Warden book, out this year, because it's time. Divine Hell, it's been waiting for a while, and the story is really good, and I really want to get it out. And I kind of want to develop Coda a little more in that world. And she's the next Night Warden, so that's kind of important. And Gray is such a great character. Gray is one of my favorite characters. It's just that I don't write him very often for reasons I've already told you guys. You guys know that Gray takes a lot out of you, me, not you. So that's why I don't write him that often. But I do include him everywhere. It's the most interesting thing. I don't write his actual stories often, but I do kind of drop him he kind of pops up everywhere. It's a weird paradox with Gray. So I definitely want to do Divine Hell, and Nemesis is definitely going to get done, but that leaves Cold Girl, Stone, and Chaos Rising, and I don't think we have enough year to get all of them out this year. So we'll see how that goes. What else do we have going on? Senior Citizen, which is the next, it's a Patreon story I promised you guys I would do. It's almost done, so about halfway done. I want to say about a third done. And that's it's a story with Nana and Dex, and they go shopping. And but what they go shopping for and where they go shopping is what makes the story really fun. Jennifer Jones is asking, what about Bug? See what happens when you create so many memorable characters. Bug is amazing. Let's see. The story of the gatekeepers is open ended, obviously, because I like stories like that. I'll leave open because I want to revisit the characters. Bug, such a great character. If I could bring her, if I could do like transport over to the M&S universe, I might do that. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard because they're in their own universe. But Bug and Porter are such a great, I don't say, they're such great characters, such a great duo that I wouldn't want to split them up. Not to mention Corman, right? Although Corman Corman on Combat, that's another thing that drew me nuts with Deadeye, the Deadeye operational manual quotes. Oh my God, I was fine, and then all of a sudden I had to do these Deadeye operational manual quotes, which drew me nuts. Mary Beth says, being a senior citizen, oh yeah, you're gonna have fun with the senior citizen story. Anyone who's over like 60, 70, 60, I want to say 60, is gonna enjoy senior citizen because it's gonna be a lot of like senior citizen moments, but with a twist on steroids, and it's gonna be crazy. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. As for Bug, Jennifer, I don't know what to tell you yet. This year's a wash. It's already full. Maybe next year I can get a Bug story in. What I might do with Bug is create a Bug short story, which is a lot more feasible than creating a full novel. Creating a short story with her, and have her just kind of go on a little adventure by herself, or maybe with Porter. Definitely, Bug can carry, as you saw in The Way of Bug. Bug can carry a story by herself. She's just that interesting of a character. But in a short story, maybe I have just do a little adventure with just Bug going out and doing something on her own and wreaking havoc and destroying everything and driving the Nomad, which is one of those awesome vehicles. The Nomad is such a unique. It doesn't fit the typical muscle car template, but it's a very unique type vehicle. It's a real car. Nomads were real cars, and they were built like tanks, and they probably lasted forever if you took care of them. But a Nomad is a great looking car. It kind of looks like a cross between a muscle. It would be the definition of a muscle station wagon. That's what the Nomad would be. It's like one of those first cars that kind of were transitioning into what a station wagon would look like. And it's a cross between a muscle car and a station wagon. But it's an amazing looking vehicle. And, it's a Sunatran vehicle in Porter and Bug's world, in the Gatekeeper world. So that's a lot of fun. So maybe next year, Mary, maybe next year, Jennifer, we'll have a Bug story. The senior citizen story should be soon. I don't want to put a date on it because the Patreon stories come out at their own schedule. They kind of come out in between everything else. So you'll get the Morgan's Man cereal, which is what not the cereal, breakfast cereal story, and the senior citizen story will come out when it comes out. It's gonna be at the end of a month. I don't say which month, but a month, and it'll be out. So Patreon will be really busy with stuff. Let's see what else. CW3s. So the CWWs are taking up a lot of time. Not so much because they're only 5 minutes long, but they take a lot long to prep, to get the idea, to do all that stuff. So I figured, let me try a different format where I can make it creative weekly warrior wisdom. So doing one video a week and making it maybe a little longer, like 10, 15 minutes instead of 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Make it about 3 times as long, so 18 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes sounds good. And just do it that way and do it once a week. And that kind of takes off the pressure of doing it every other day. And it gives me time to really come up with themes, because I have a few themes that I want to develop that I can make them a little longer and then have it appear once a week. Now I need to just kind of figure out, do I want to do it at the beginning of the week, or do I want to do it at the end of the week? And you can think about it over the weekend or have it at the beginning of the week and have it be the thought for the week. So I'm still working on that, but it'll start next week, first beginning of September, first week of September, and have it every week. We'll do it that way. Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. We have, yeah. I don't know about the special art. That'll be fun though. The senior art. Yeah. Okay, let me get to the questions. Hold on, because it's already. Don't ask me when the time has gone because I can tell you that the questions are good, and we have a few of them. Audrey, as usual. Yeah. And oh yeah, and also let me now before I forget, and Dolly, if you're on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe to the Bitten Peaches channel, please, because it helps us grow. We want to grow, so we're trying to reach 1,000. So please subscribe. So if you're on there, subscribe, like, subscribe, and share if you can. Right? That's the usual YouTube spiel that we have. Like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell. Okay. All right. Questions. We got time. Audrey's questions to keep her streak going. Her first question. Before any question, thank you so much for the questions because you guys are amazing and it helps the show feel even more interactive. So it's great. Let me just do this. Let me just go over here just a little bit so I can see what's being said even while the questions are being read. Okay. All right then. So Audrey's question: what book or books do you recommend everyone have in their library? Audrey, that question is like that's an episode in itself. All the classics, I think, are important. So whatever you consider classic like Shakespeare, classic like Marcus Aurelius, classic like Plato, all the great stories from way like even cross-cultural, 1001 Nights. There's so many. That question is just enormous. I recommend, if you're a writer, to have as many books as possible in your library, and don't just stick to one culture. Go cross-cultural and different languages if you can manage it, and try to get as much exposure to different stories. Although so many stories are common to so many different cultures, but as much as you can, have as many different books in your library, fiction and nonfiction, that you can read and study and have as resources, so that you can grow as a reader first, and then as a writer later on, if you choose to pursue writing. But definitely as a reader, have Clausewitz on war, have meditations, obviously, just have all kinds of stories, all kinds of books. It's important. It's important. So I couldn't tell you the list, Audrey, because it's just so large. But I recommend that you have as many of the classes and try to get new writers as well, and different cultural writers. Don't just stick to one culture. Go across cultures and different countries, and just get different mindsets into your library as much as you can. And you may not get to all of them in your lifetime, but that's part of what makes a library awesome. Okay, that's a great question, Audrey. That's an episode in itself, Audrey. That one question. What books or book do you recommend everyone have in the library? And that can be broken up into categories. So like as a writer, as a reader, as a parent, there's so many different kinds of ways you can break that up. Okay, if I could be invisible for a day, if you could be invisible for a day, Orlando. Yes, like Chris says, read everything. So if you could be invisible for a day, what would you do? Where would you go? Wow, if I could be invisible for a day. Let's see. I would probably get up to mischief, but I don't know. That's a good question. I've never been invisible, so I can't tell you what I would do or what I would attempt to do. I don't think I would have to see what the bounds of the invisibility are. That's the first thing I would do. What are the limits of the invisibility? Now I'm wondering if that question is for me or if it's for Dolly, because there's 3 questions there. I think it's for you. You sure? You just don't want to answer it. Okay. So I'm gonna just say I don't know what I would do if I can go invisible. I think it's a great thought experiment to be invisible for a day. That would be amazing to see. Where would I go? I try to go everywhere or anywhere I could go invisible. It's a little hard to travel invisible. If I'm driving and there's no one in the car, that would freak too many people out. If I get on the bus, that would be crazy too. So yeah, or on a train or a plane, that'd be a little crazy. So I'd have to do a lot of walking. So it'd be an interesting adventure though, for sure. Next question. How has your inspiration evolved over time? Well, in the beginning, my inspiration was based on what other writers did in the past. Like, as I always said, we stand on the shoulder of giants, right? So it was reading other writers, reading, classics, reading early urban fantasy. And over time, it changed from reading other writers, even though I still do that, to life and situations that occur in life, and how could that be applied to a story. So it goes from reading other writers that are really good and letting that inform your writing, to things that occur in life and letting those situations bleed into your writing. So it's two different sources of inspiration. One is other writers, and then one becomes life. And I think the longer you write, the more it becomes life informing your writing. That's my opinion, though. I'm not saying that's the way it is for everyone, but that's how it's evolved for me. It's gone from, and then it's also, drawing on your own past, your own life, and blending that into your characters' situations and stories and things that they encounter as well. So I think that's how it's gone. Let's see. You should have stories about Dex trying to keep a young mountain lion while he's the harbinger. Yeah, that would be hard. Actually, it wouldn't, because harbinger is really scary, so he wouldn't have a hard time doing that. Mary Beth says shenanigans. Right? Chris says, I grew up reading mostly Reader's Digest condensed books, so I read everything. Yeah, I read a lot of Reader's Digest because my mom had a subscription, so I would read every Reader's Digest she got. I would read them, and the jokes too. Jennifer Jones says, the year reading dangerously, how 50 great books and 2 not so great books saved my life. Has some good books there. Okay, so that's something to look into for sure. All right. Next question. Anthony asks, Author Sensei, if meat is life, why does death run a delicatessen? I can't tell you that right now. That's like one of those end of series questions. But it's a great question. And meat is life. And it's not just a deli, even though it is a deli. It's pastrami heaven. You kidding? Yeah. Okay. The next question. Anthony says, would you consider a Muppet Babies version of M&S, all the main characters as toddlers, and could we have plushies? No and no and no. No. But it's a fun concept. It's a great idea to think of it. But there's no way I could do that without getting sued. So I'm going to pass on that one. I think it's a great idea. Okay. Chris asked a question. Chris has a statement. I read my kids' books before they did, Harry Potter, Hunger Games, etc. Do you or Dolly check what your kids are reading to make sure the books are safe? P.S. We never stopped them from reading what they wanted to read. Right now, I think you read pretty much everything they read, right? And I read pretty much everything they read. But they also get books assigned to them from school that I know I've gone through. I don't know if Dolly's gone through a lot of them too. And so books that I've read, and right now I think Z is reading Euripides. I feel sorry for her because it's Euripides. But most of the books that they've read, we've already read, or we know. We kind of have an idea of what they're reading. So if we're not crazy about it, we have a discussion about it. Because there were some books that we were not big fans of that we had to have a conversation about for sure. But we don't stop them, we don't censor them from reading unless it's something that's really, really inappropriate for them to read. We don't censor them from reading anything. So yeah, it's good for them to read. All right, Chris asked Dolly a question. Dolly, how do you stay warm since Orlando's always hot? Thank you. I'm freezing while my wife is burning up all year round. Any tips? For example, get your cold feet off of me. Yeah, I've been there. Get your cold feet off of me. You want to answer that one? Right now she has a sweater and a blanket because I turned on the AC for the show. Because you got that, Chris? And a space heater. Sweaters, blankets, and a space heater. That's your solution. That's the way to solve it. Because even now during the show, I turn on the AC because I get warm. I'm warm right now, so I can't wait because in fall, it's the perfect time of the year where it's not too hot, it's not too cold, it's perfect. And you reach a point where you had to write your own story. I think every reader, I don't want to say every reader, but okay, many readers. Oh, Chris couldn't hear you, so I'll convey the message. It is heating pad, place heater, and sweaters and blankets. Anything else? That's it. That's it. I think as a reader, I don't think you reach a tipping point. Those are all the questions. So guys, thank you. You guys were awesome. And it's like, look, square. Oh, it's awesome. Thank you for all the questions. I really do appreciate them, and they do make the show amazing. Getting back to what we're discussing here about reading, I think as a reader, you reach what I kind of call like a tipping point. It's going to get to the point where, I don't know if it was Maya Angelou or Toni Morrison, one of them said, if you can't find the story you're looking for, you have to write it, right? And I think as a reader, you're going to get to that point where you've read pretty much everything you got in your hands on, and you're looking for a particular story. You're looking for a story that's only you. And at that point, you're going to have to write it. And that doesn't mean that you know how to write it, but that desire is going to be inside of you. And you're going to do one or two things. Either you're going to listen to that and learn the craft of writing, or you're going to keep searching for that story elsewhere and just not pay attention to that in the sense of, I got to write this story. You're just going to say, I'm going to try and find this story. Either one works. I can advise you that trying to write it is hard. It's work. I can tell you that even from the beginning when I started writing, and it was like, I thought I was doing really well, and I wasn't. And my first editor was like, oh, you know. And even subsequent editors were like, you need to polish this up. You need to work on this. You need to work on this and this and this and that. And then and I was like, oh my God, this is so hard. But like Chris is saying, I searched for the story that I wanted to read, and it didn't exist. And when you get to that point where you search for the story that you want to read, but it doesn't exist, you have a choice. Keep searching, and that might be a lifelong search. Just do that with that understanding that you may never fulfill that search, or write the story. And then you will definitely fulfill the search because you'll write the story that you're looking for. It's easier to say. It's much easier to say than to do, for sure. Is it easy? No. Is it worth it? Yes. It's really worth it. In the beginning, when I was writing, when I started, and it's still hard, but it was much harder because I didn't know what I didn't know. And so over time, I've learned a little bit. And every time I write a story, I'm learning more. And I know that commas are not my friends. I get that. I've made peace with that. Because as anyone in the art can attest. But writing the story changes you as a person. It changes you as a writer. It changes you as a reader. Some good, some not so good. Like after I started writing stories, my tolerance level for other stories dropped tremendously because, it's like, not that you're comparing, but you start to see how the sausage is made. And you know what happens? Your standards start to rise as you write. Hopefully, I would hope that they do. But your standards start to go up. And you start expecting more from authors. And so your tolerance for writing that you feel could be tighter or better. Like, my criteria is first sentence, first paragraph, first page, first chapter. If I'm not hooked by the first chapter, I'm done. I'm out. Because one, I'm not going to be interested in the story. And two, there are too many books to read, and life is too short to spend that time reading a book that I might not be into. So set a criteria for yourself. It may not be the same as mine, but that first line has to grab me. If the first line doesn't grab me, I'm gracious enough to say, okay, first paragraph. If by the first paragraph I'm still kind of iffy about it, I'll give it the first page. And by the first page, if the first page doesn't grab me, I'll go so far as the first chapter. But if by the first chapter I'm not invested in the story or character or any part of that book, I'm moving on to the next book. It's just and I don't. I used to feel bad about DNFing, right? Not like didn't finish. Not anymore because there's just too many books to read, and I'm writing. I don't have time to take the time, the little time that I have to read, to not utilize it in the story that I enjoy. Chris says, and what you do not know as a writer, you ask an author. Yeah, you have the access now. It's not like when we were growing up. If I wanted to ask Tolkien a question or Heinlein a question or Asimov a question, there was no way I could do that. Maybe write them a letter and maybe get a letter back from their assistant. Maybe. Now, many of authors, you have access to them. You can always ask a question. And in all genres, you can ask a question of urban fantasy writers, mystery writers, horror writers, sci-fi writers. You have access to all. What's Chris saying? When you know and see how the sausage is made, you want to make your own sausage. Right, exactly. Because I can tell you one of the catalysts for me was I was reading Dresden. I think I was in the second or third book, around there. And I said, I could do this. I could write this. I could definitely, of course I couldn't because Jim Butcher makes it look easy. But back then I couldn't. But I had the motivation, the spark to say, I can do this. I know that if I put myself to this, if I really, really focus on this, I can do it. I can write a story like this. It took some time, but I didn't end up doing it, but it takes time. Maribeth says it's hard for me to do that in KU. If I download a book and don't like it after a chapter, the author doesn't get paid, and I feel bad. Yes, that's the only downside. So to be careful about. Read the look insides. That usually gives you enough to determine usually, so you don't make the commitment of the KU if it's a book that you know you're not going to read. Maribeth. As a writer, and this is a really important one. What Chris just said. As a writer, it's really important. You need to find your tribe, your readers. Like the MoB came to me one day. The idea of the MoB came to me really early on, and I always attribute Rick Gualtieri for this of creating a group of like-minded people. And so you need to find your group. You need to find a tribe, and start there, and then start talking to them about your story. And I said, but I haven't written the story yet. He said, doesn't matter. Start talking about what you're going to write and the characters that are there. And start getting ideas going and start getting input and get people interested before you write that first book. Because by the time you write the first book, you'll have an engaged group of people that want to read what you've written. And that's what's so important. Every writer has a tribe. Every writer has a tribe. You just got to find them. That's really all it is. It's just finding your tribe of people that want to read what you're going to write. It's that simple and it's that hard. It's really like that. If you have your tribe, look what I've been able to write. I've been able to write Monty and Strong, the Spiritual Warriors, the Gatekeepers, the Blackjacks, which is sci-fi. Now I'm writing Frozen Fire, the Fate of the Dark Mages, which is romantasy. As long as you have a tribe that likes what you're writing, you can pretty much write anything within reason. As long as you don't deviate too far from what you've written and kind of keep certain commonalities in the stories, you can pretty much write everything. Anything that you enjoy, as long as you don't go too far out, Yeah, and that's the other point that's really, and this one is more important than the last, or as important. You can't buy your readers. You got to be yourself. I mean, if you put up a facade, eventually they're going to see through your facade. So you're better off just being you. Like, this is me. This is the way I am. This is kind of the way I always am, especially when it comes to the writing. It's the way I am. Be yourself. Be human. Don't try to present yourself as something that you're not. Don't try to be superhuman. Be honest and tell people, listen, I can't write this story, or this story is kicking my butt, or whatever the case may be, or this character, I can't stand this character. Just let people in on what you're doing with your stories, and you will find people are more invested in what you're going through. Like, even in the last part, I was telling everybody, okay, this story went feral. It was supposed to be 55K, but now it's 76K. I don't know what the heck is going on and why it got out of control. And, when you get a finished book, you don't get to see the trials and tribulations behind the creation of that book. You just don't. You just get a finished product. But if you have access to the author and the author's kind of telling you, okay, this is what's going on, this is what happened, this book is getting out of control, or this character doesn't listen, or whatever, it kind of gives you a behind the scenes on the creation of a story. And you get not only to see that as if you're a writer, you get to see a little bit of, oh man, this is like, there's some work involved here. But if you're a reader, you kind of get to see the behind the scenes look of, oh, this is why that story is the way it is, because it went crazy at the 30K mark and expanded and it went into a different direction. And that's good. You want to be able to see. Like, I would love to see, it took Tolkien 60 years. Think about that for a moment. 60 years to really write The Lord of the Rings. I was reading this article the other day about how long it took him to create every aspect of The Lord of the Rings. By the time he was done, it had taken 60 years, start to finish, for all of that to be done. And then towards the end of that, when people didn't, just to kind of top it off, to make sure that people understood, he went back and he wrote the Silmarillion, which is like the creation story of what he created, which is, like, he was off the charts. So, as a writer, yeah, just be yourself, be human. Don't be pretentious. Let people in. Let people kind of see how the sausage is made, and you don't know what other writer you might be helping grow and take it on and try this craziness that we call writing. It's important. Joe, have a great rest of your day, evening. Take care. Have a good weekend. Paige, I'm glad you were able to have a glorious death. It was fantastic having you in the story. Thank you. Take care. Have a great weekend. And like Chris said, when you're in the art, you can really appreciate all the hard work that goes into a book. So my B3s, guys. Let's go. You ready? B3. Be kind. Where's my closer? Zoya. Be kind. Be unstoppable. Be uncommon. My closer's coming. All right, close it out.
Thank you for coming to MoB Kaffeeklatsch, episode 152, and have a great weekend.
Thank you, closer. All right, let's close it out. So, guys, thank you so much for being here. Our next Kaffeeklatsch will be, I believe it looks like it's going to be the 12th. Am I right? The 12th? Skip a week. Yeah, I'm guessing it's the 12th. Have a great weekend, everyone. Stay warm, but not too warm. Stay cool, but not too cool. Have a great Labor Day. Enjoy the holiday. And for me, it ramps up again with school starting, school runs, all that stuff. Next week, it starts to take off. Yeah, 6 years. That's true. That's true, Anthony. Yeah, but that's different because he did 60 years and he finished. Tolkien did. Martin's taking 60 years and maybe not finishing. So, Heather, have a great long weekend. All of you have a great long weekend. Take care. Have a fantastic rest of your day today. And I look forward to seeing you guys in our next MoB Kaffeeklatsch. And yes, I mean, I'm working on it. Working on getting that. That one's going to be, I can tell you right now, that one has started off here. Nemesis started off here already. So I don't know how long it's going to be. I know it's going to be a long one. I can tell you. It's going to be long. All right, Anthony, have a great weekend, guys. All right, I'm going to put some music, take off my scary face. Scary face remove.